Hello and welcome to this 60-minute practice. This week our intent is grounding. So feeling more grounded and also centering. So we will kind of explore that in each of the parts of the practice. So intention is grounding and centering. We're tuning into the element of earth. So for the next few weeks, we're going to go through some of the elements. And in terms of the cardinal points, so the 4 directions, the earth element is associated with the east. So we'll go into that when we start to begin the practice. So having that in mind, earth energy, energy of the east, direction of the east, where the rising sun is. So we'll come to a seated position to begin with and start with some breath work. So if you extend the left leg out in front of you, and we'll come into half knee pile. So we take the right foot over the left thigh. And so you can kind of come onto the outer blade of the right foot and kind of rest it there. This is half knee pile. If you wanted to try full, then you're tucking the left shin in too. But only if it works, you know. Sometimes it might make you feel a bit like hiked up to one side. So, and depending on how your hips are feeling. So taking some breaths here just to center and arrive into the practice. So closing the eyes if that feels good for you, or just resting your gaze on one spot. And let's take a couple of deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. As you're breathing in, get a sense of lifting chest bone away from pubic bone. And as you're breathing out, sensing the ground underneath you. And one more like that. And exhale, relax shoulders away from the ears. Relax face, neck, jaw. And we'll use the right hand first, and we'll do some alternate nostril breath. So we can really kind of rebalance. Either taking the first 2 fingers and resting them to your third eye, or you could curl them into the palm and hold them that mudra. So using the thumb, close up the right nostril and start taking a slow breath in through the left. Breathing into side ribs as you take that breath in, and then close the left nostril, slowly breathe out through the right. All the way to the bottom, and pause there at the bottom of the breath, linger there. It's very calming to pause at the bottom of the breath on the exhale. And then cover up the right nostril once more, take a breath in through the left, nice and slow. Belly expands. And then close left nostril, slowly breathe out through right. All the way to the bottom of the breath, and pause there. Good, another round, closing the right nostril, breathing in through the left. And close left, slowly breathe out through the right. Pausing at the bottom there. Sensing around the sit bones that are connected to the ground and around the hips. Close up the right nostril, slowly breathe in through the left. This time, this sense of lifting chest bone as you breathe in, and squeeze the sit bones inwards. So you feel a bit of a lift. And then close left nostril, breathe out through the right, and release the squeeze of the sit bones as you come down the breath. So get a sense of centering, grounding there. Close off the right nostril, breathe in through the left, lift up the chest slightly, squeeze the sit bones inwards, and then close left nostril, slowly breathe out through the right, and release the squeeze. Linger there at the bottom. One more like this. Close right nostril, breathe in nice and slow, and get a sense of squeezing the sit bones inwards so you feel slightly lifted. Close the left nostril, breathe out through the right, release the squeeze. Pause there at the bottom as you rest the hand back down and take a slow breath in through both nostrils. Squeeze sit bones at the top and then exhale out through the mouth and release the squeeze. Good, and then we'll do the other side. So we unwrap the legs and extend the right leg out in front of you. Take the left leg over, half knee pile, or you could tuck that right shin in and come into full knee pile. Taking left hand, first two fingers onto third eye or curling them into the palm. Sitting up tall, so lifting up through the chest. Close up the left nostril, slow breath in through the right, all the way to the top. Close the right and breathe out through the left. Linger there at the bottom for a few moments in stillness. And close the left nostril, slowly breathe in through the right. Close right and exhale left. All the way to the bottom, and a pause at the bottom there. Sensing what you're feeling around the hips. Close the left nostril, slow breath in through the right. Lift chest bone away from pubic bone. Close the right, exhale left, sense through your sit bones. Pausing there at the bottom. Close left nostril, slow breath in through the right. Close right, exhale left. Relaxing shoulders and then pausing there at the bottom. Close left nostril, breathe in through the right, make it slow, and as you're breathing in, lift chest bone, squeeze the sit bones inwards. So you feel a bit of a lift. Close the right nostril, exhale through the left, release the squeeze. Pausing at the bottom. Close left nostril, breathe in through the right. Squeeze your sit bones, feel that lift. Close right, exhale left. Release the squeeze. Pausing at the bottom there. One more like this. Closing the left nostril, slow breath in through the right. Lift chest bone away from pubic bone, and at the top of the breath squeeze the sit bones inwards. Feel that lift, almost a sense of filling up, and then close right nostril, slowly breathe out, releasing the squeeze as you go. Feel that connection with the ground. Really good. Release the left hand down and take a slow breath in through both nostrils. And breathe it out, sigh it out, whatever you need. Another one like that. Inhale, fill up. And exhale, empty out. Really good. And then opening the eyes if you had them closed and unwrapping the legs to extend the left leg out and bring the sole of the right foot into your left thigh. So we're coming into a seated side bend, a chest opener, landing the left hand inside the left shin. And then inhaling, lift chest bone up and then follow with the arm. Take the arm up to the ceiling. So breathing in to lift up, lift chest bone away from pubic bone. And as you breathe out, soften left ear to left shoulder. Flexing your left foot and spread the toes apart. So you've got really active feet. You've got this full body awareness reaching through fingertips, spreading the toes, feeling the soles of the feet. And then taking your right arm more over towards the left foot, so kind of over your head, over in the direction of the left foot. Breathe in through right side ribs. One more deep breath in here. And as you exhale, really slowly, really gently bringing the right hand down and turning your chest towards the left leg. This is where a strap will really work. So if you take your strap and loop it around the ball of the foot, take the loose ends in your hands, and then you can kind of wind around so that you've got some resistance there. So you're holding onto that foot and pressing, flexing the foot. So the idea here is to keep this length in the spine. So we'll breathe in and lift your chest bone up. And then as you breathe out, maybe just a few inches towards the foot, but without rounding in the spine. So you might only just go a few inches, and you're pulling on the strap and pressing the foot into the strap. And then keep those deep breaths coming. So almost closing your eyes and sensing the area around your lower back. And breathing into that area. So on the inhale, feeling some space. And 2 more breaths. And as you take those, press the back of the left leg down into the ground. Continue to breathe. And very gently on an inhale, release and slowly come back up. So you can put the strap to one side for a moment and side bend to the other side. So extending right leg and taking the sole of the left foot into the thigh. Right hand inside the right shin. And then turning your chest bone to the left side. So we find this twist. Reaching up as you breathe in, lifting the arm up to the ceiling. Flexing your right foot and spreading the toes apart. It's really good for things like plantar fasciitis or avoiding things like plantar fasciitis, those kind of conditions of the feet. Where you're like keeping them active, keeping them moving. Taking the left arm over the head now if that feels good. Otherwise you can keep it up towards the ceiling. Maybe taking it a little bit over towards the right foot. Sensing left side ribs, left sit bone. And softening right ear to right shoulder. So maybe you can take some pressure out of the head. Maybe the head could do less. On an exhale, very gently, left hand dropping down, turning chest bone towards the right foot, and we'll take the strap on this side, loop it around the ball of your foot, take the loose ends and wind them around your hands a few times. And breathe in. So take that breath in and lift your chest bone up. So it's using those postural muscles again. And then as you exhale, use the strap to just come forward maybe 1 or 2 inches, maybe more, depending on your body, but not compromising. So we want to keep this length in the spine. So stay lifted And focus on your breath and send the intention around to the lower back area. So nice, gentle, deep breaths in that might feel a bit more spacious around the lower back. One more deep breath. Nice, and as you exhale, release the strap. Slowly come back up. And we'll come over and down onto the back here. Now, we're doing some abs, some core work. Hopefully it'll be okay for lower back if you've got something going on there. But this is called frog lifting through. So, it comes with a leg straddle. Now, if you're at home, you could do what I'm doing here, which is a great option, to come closer to the wall, or you can do this away from the wall. It doesn't matter. So you bend the knees, and it's like you're going to go into Happy Baby. You then take the thighs apart and spread the feet out, open them outwards. So obviously if you've got a wall, you can rest your heels onto the wall and kind of press against the wall, or you might be legs floating. So feel the lower back onto the floor, interlace fingers around the back of your head and your neck. Turning the toes outwards, so it's like you're taking the little toe side of the foot and kind of pointing it down towards the floor. You should feel a big stretch in your inner thighs. And with your hands supporting your head, lift the head and the neck off, and then take a breath in. Hold the breath for a moment and press lower back down into the ground. So belly button down to the spine, sacrum pressing down to the ground. And as you exhale, just lift the tips of the elbows up, so you're lifting up a little higher. And then breathe in, come halfway back down. Hold it there, hold the breath. Pull lower belly down gently to the earth. Exhale as you lift up, tips of the elbows lifting up. And breathe in nice and deep. That's one of the key things. Breathe in as you're coming back halfway. Hold the breath, curl tailbone up. Flex the toes, so like spread the toes apart. Exhale, lift up, tips of the elbows up to the ceiling. Head is supported in the hands. Breathe in as you come halfway back down. Hold the breath there, pull lower belly down. Exhale, lift up, tips of the elbows lifting. Inhale deeply to come halfway. Hold the breath, curl tailbone up. Last one. Exhale, lift tips of the elbows up. Breathe in to come halfway back down. Hold the breath, pull lower belly down. And then exhale as you let the head and the neck come down. You can help the thighs back inwards and hug your knees into your chest for a moment there. And then we're coming down, staying down on the back, full bridge. So arms alongside the body. So the option here is to do a full bridge. So we start to curl the tailbone up and then keep going, keep lifting the hips, tucking chin to chest and coming into full bridge, arms alongside the body. Or you could place some blocks underneath your lower back for something a little bit more supportive, depending on how you're feeling tonight. If you're in the full bridge, pressing through the feet, feeling the fronts of your thighs activate, and really kind of tucking your pelvis so you're lifting through the hips. If you're on the block, just focusing on the feeling of the block in the lower back. Either way, press through the feet, breathe here. Feeling side ribs expand as you breathe in. And feeling down through your feet as you breathe out. One more deep breath here. And exhale. On an inhale, you can remove the block if you've got that underneath you. And then on your exhale, coming all the way down the spine. So upper back, mid back, lower back until your hips meet the ground. Bring the knees into the chest and roll over onto your side. Using your hands to come up from the side and coming up and over. So coming into onto tabletop, onto all fours. So we created some fire in the belly there with the core activation. So coming onto all fours, you could, with cat-cow, you can have the toes untucked and you could press through the tops of the feet to feel something around your hip flexors, or you might tuck the toes for a bit of stretch through the soles of the feet, your choice. Take a breath in, drop the belly down as you lift the chin up. And on your exhale, go the other way. Look back to your belly. So take these really slow. If your lower back's feeling a bit tweaky, and maybe not going quite so far, so just tune in. Exhaling to round. Really transition slowly from the arch and the round. And keep moving between the two. So lengthen your breath and slow it down, and then make the movement match the breath. So the longer your breath, the longer the movement, the more the stretch. And you start to feel this connection, breath and body. And do your last one and then come back to a neutral spine. Tuck the toes and we're going to start raising. So hovering the knees for just a moment, holding it there as you press the ground away, and then continue to extend the legs and lift the hips. Walking your hands back to your feet. And again, if you've got a wall behind you, you can do a ragdoll using the wall for a bit of support. So ragdoll, bending the knees to allow the hips to hinge and upper body to hang. Arms dangling or maybe taking hold of opposite elbows. Getting that sense of giving your shoulders a break, giving your head a break. Maybe it's been a busy day. Maybe you've been using your brain a lot. We can give that a bit of a break now. And then slowly releasing the arms and rolling up the spine, taking your time. Bend in the knees as you come up all the way to standing. And taking a block or something similar, I've got a kind of roll thing here, anything like that will work. And placing it between your inner thighs. So we're going to stand so that we have this place to squeeze with the inner thighs. Nice. And just for a moment there, find mountain pose, arms quite relaxed. and tracking up from the feet. So staying with the soles of your feet, press into the outer blades of your feet now. So activating some of the outsides of your leg muscles. And then change it to the inner blades of your feet. So pressing through the inner line of the feet, the big toes. Notice what that does with the block. And then find a happy medium between the two. So come back to the full flat surface of the foot. Inhale, lift your arms up. And take the right index finger and thumb and circle it around the left wrist. So you're just holding onto your left wrist. And as you inhale, lift, and it's like using the finger and thumb to stretch the left wrist upwards. Nice. And then exhale, a little side bend to the right. As you're doing that, squeeze the block with your inner thighs and pull pubic bone up towards your chest bone. So really activating your glutes here, and breathe into left side ribs. Feel the ground underneath your feet. And on your inhale, gently come back to center. And then we'll wrap the left index finger and thumb, or whatever you can get round the wrist. Breathe in to stretch the right wrist upwards towards the ceiling. And breathe out as you take a bend to the left. Squeezing the block and pulling pubic bone upwards towards your chest bone. Deep breath into right side ribs. On your breath out, feel this sense of grounding down through your feet. The activation in the inner lines of your legs, so squeezing that block, giving us this sense of centering. On an inhale, really gently come back to center and release the wrist. Take the arms down and interlace fingers behind you. Breathe in to lift the chest bone as you draw the hands down. Stay there, squeezing the block. Opening through your chest, but keeping this awareness around the legs by having the block there. Sometimes in yoga we could be doing something with upper body and quite sort of almost forget the lower body, but having something to squeeze. And we'll do this again in Cobra. So we'll do it lying down. Releasing the hands. Releasing the block for now and keeping it handy. And we're going to come into some sun salutations, nothing too much. Just a little warm up. So coming to the top of your mat. Bringing the feet and the knees together, sun salutation bees, coming into chair pose, lifting the arms up, sinking down in the hips. Maybe nothing too much, we don't have to sink too deep. And take some deep, generous breaths. Again, feeling through the soles of the feet, maybe gripping your toes to change your relationship with the ground. Exhale, forward fold. Head and neck relaxed. On your inhale, halfway lift. So again, finding some space around the lower back and the spine. And then as you exhale, dropping the hands down, stepping back to plank. Modifying with the knees down is always the option. So on your exhale, knees come down, and then we bend the elbows and allow the chest bone to come all the way down. So coming into Cobra, but let's do it more like a Sphinx. So we come onto the elbows and the forearms. Yeah, so those are forward. I don't know about you, but that It gives me a bit more of a feeling of space between the ribs and the hips. And then go ahead and take your block and place it back in between your thighs. So same as when we were standing, we have the block between your thighs, something to squeeze. So on an inhale, get a sense of stretching your ribs forwards and lifting chest bone. Squeeze the block at the same time. And then let's take this a little bit further. So dropping the chest bone down, your hands could be under the shoulders, or you might take them a little further forward and out and take a bit more space up. Drop the forehead down. So as you're lying here, squeeze the block, curl pubic bone upwards. And as you inhale, lift up. Keep squeezing the block. And as you exhale, get a sense of bringing the chest bone slightly further forward as you come down. So inhale to rise, squeezing the block between the thighs. And exhale, it's like stretching the ribs forwards. So you're constantly creating space. One more like that. Inhale as you rise, keep squeezing the block. And exhale, this sense of moving chest bone ever so slightly forwards. And then taking the hands back underneath the shoulders, coming onto the knees. You can remove the block for a moment and sink back. Child's pose, just for a moment. Downward facing dog, starting to rise up. Get your foundations, spreading fingers nice and wide and raising the hips up. Pedaling in the feet here. Sensing the back of the legs, the glutes, and into the lower back. Coming to stillness. Warrior one, inhale, left foot comes through. You could give your foot a hand through, or you might heel toe it around. Turn the back foot to an angle and make your way up. Warrior two. So lifting the arms. Breathing in to get that feeling of the lift in the chest bone. And breathing out, softening shoulders away from ears. Active hands, spreading fingers wide apart. Active in the feet as you press through the outer edge of the back foot. One more deep breath in here. And as you exhale, hands come down to frame the left foot, slide it around the side or underneath and back into your plank. Modified, making your way down onto your belly. Inhaling into your cobra. So taking it more like a sphinx, coming onto the forearms. The lift of the chest bone, the stretch of the ribs away from the hips. And on your exhale, downward facing dog. And a couple of breaths here to reset, bending in one knee and then the other. Ujjayi breath, so that slight constriction at the back of your throat that creates a whispering breath. You're using the whispering muscles. Warrior one, inhale, right foot steps through this time. Give it a hand. Turning back foot to an angle. Press through the sole of the right foot to drive up and lift the arms. Strong pose. You know, it's not called a warrior for nothing. So we're heart open, we're facing forwards in the direction we're going. We want to be strong through the feet, through the legs, strong foundation. Softness around that foundation. So soften between the shoulders, soften the face. On your next exhale, frame the right foot and slide it around the side or underneath, coming back into your modified plank, making your way down onto your belly, breathing into your cobra or sphinx. Pull up in your kneecaps here so the legs are really active and you can press through the tops of the feet. And on your exhale, downward facing dog, coming through the knees and pedaling in the feet to reset here. Letting the head be heavy, looking back through your shins. Coming to stillness for a moment. Press through the hands, so it's like when you press the ground away, your chest bone moves towards the thighs, lengthening in the spine. On an inhale, looking forwards and making your way to the top of the mat. Little baby steps, or maybe one step through, followed by another. Finding a halfway lift, breathing in, and a forward fold as you breathe out. Staying in your forward fold, inhale, sweep the arms behind you in your fold, and exhale, bend the knees and scoop the arms up into chair pose. Feeling down through the feet, strong pose. And get that sense of squeezing your sit bones inwards again. So you get this feeling of centering. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway. And exhale, high plank. Knees down, making your way all the way down to your belly. Cobra. You might be keeping your cobra is really low this evening and just focusing more on using your upper back muscles. Or you might take a sphinx and lift chest bone, stretching the ribs forwards. On an exhale, moving back through the knees and child's pose for a moment. You could tent the fingertips for a little extra. Chest opening. And then make your way downward facing dog. Adjusting as you need to find your balance. Find your down dog that feels steady. And find stillness. And just for a moment, can you get the sense of squeezing the elbows towards each other? And you might feel a kind of broadening across the upper back. So you're wrapping shoulders and the muscles around that area. Maybe bringing in a little bit of trembling, a little bit of shaking. It's definitely activated mine. Warrior one, inhale, left foot steps through. So finding that warrior again, turning the back foot and making your way all the way up. Warrior one, breathing in here. And as you exhale, turning out into warrior two. So you might widen the stance a little bit and reverse the warrior, reaching the right arm up to find the space. And then exhale, right arm goes back, left arm comes over. So reverse warrior, yeah. Softening right ear to right shoulder. And curl your pubic bone up towards your chest bone, just maybe a tiny movement there. And as you exhale, very gently coming out of this and resting your left forearm onto your left thigh for an extended side angle. This right arm, you could either have it up in the air or you might half bind it and take it behind you. Continue to soften left ear to left shoulder now to find space right side of the neck. And again, drawing the pubic bone up towards the chest bone. And create space around the lower back. And then release the right arm down or from the bind and turn and face the front foot, the left foot. Step the right foot in a little bit for a pyramid pose. You could be bringing the ground to you on 2 blocks here and keeping more of a sort of halfway lift so you keep this length in the spine. Or you might choose to fold and hinge at the hips. And fold down and let the head go, so your choice. And then coming out of this, place the hands down and slide that left leg around or heel toe it around to drop down onto your knees for modified plank and make your way down onto your belly. Breathing in, low cobra or sphinx. And then making your way back to downward facing dog. And taking one deep releasing breath here, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Warrior one, inhale, right foot steps through. Turning that back foot and slowly making your way up. Warrior one, take a deep breath in here. And then exhale. Release the shoulders, another deep breath in. And as you exhale, turning out into warrior two. Reverse warrior, left arm up to the ceiling. And then take the left arm back and windmill the right arm over. Reverse warrior. And again, that feeling of breathing into the right side body, sensing around the ribs. And if imagining you have a wall behind you, you'd be lightly touching the back of your head to the wall, and then let the left ear soften to the left shoulder. Extended side angle, right forearm rests on the right thigh. You might lengthen, maybe you've got space to heel toe the left foot back, and either reaching left arm up, or you could choose to bind the arm behind you, take hold of the waistband of your leggings, or maybe reaching through to the thigh. And Stay here, sensing down through the sole of the right foot for stability. Softening right ear to right shoulder. And then very gently releasing out of the bind or bringing the left arm down and turning around to face the right foot now. Spinning on the back foot, stepping back foot in, pyramid pose, either halfway lifted or folded down. Either way, whichever one you chose, press through the sole of the right foot, press it down to the ground. Take a breath in and exhale as you press that foot down and grip the toes. As you breathe in, squeeze the inner thighs towards each other. And exhale. Good. And using your hands to support you, we're coming down onto the belly for some very restorative breaths. So you can take the right foot down or drop down onto your knees, whatever you need. And make your way down onto your belly. So this is called crocodile pose. Lying on your belly, you've got the option of extending the arms above the head and having the hands in prayer. That doesn't always work, you know, with the chest and breasts and things. So it might be that you place one hand on top of the other and make a pillow and rest your head, or you could prop something underneath the chest too, just if that feels a little uncomfortable. So the idea is the whole of the front of the body feels the ground. Crocodile pose, and we use this for this really restorative breathing. So start to sense around the ribs that are connected to the ground right now, and then between the ribs and around the softness of your belly. And when you're taking, so you're slowing the breath right down and kind of stretching it out, if that makes sense. So when you're breathing in, you're going to feel the resistance of the ground. When you want to inflate your belly, you've got the ground to push against. So try that. Feel the belly inflate, feel the resistance of the ground, and then very slowly exhale and feel a sense of sinking. And keep breathing like that on those inhales, really feeling the belly inflate and push against the ground. It's a really good place to notice that belly breath. The diaphragm is a really big muscle that sits almost like a trampoline underneath the lungs and between the stomach. And when we breathe in, the diaphragm always domes down. That's what it does. It domes downwards. And it makes space for the air to fill up in the lungs, and especially the lower part of the lungs. And then when we breathe out, it comes back up. So that's what's happening with that breath. But sometimes when we're under stress, the diaphragm, maybe it doesn't move as much as it wants to. Maybe it's a bit constricted and tight and shallow. So in this breath, we are kind of conditioning that muscle of the diaphragm. We're inviting it to dome a bit deeper. to make a bit more space for the air to fill the lower section of the lungs, which can be quite hard to sense unless you're on your belly or you've got some kind of weight on your belly. And as you continue to breathe, this feeling of rhythm, of cycling, of movement, coming in and coming out and inflating and deflating. Perhaps you can get a sense of the back of your body as well. When you're breathing in and you're inflating the belly, be sensing around the back of your ribs and the side of your ribs. Really good. And then lifting the head as we slowly come out of this, and the hands underneath you to support as you come up onto the knees, and then come over onto one thigh or the other. Bring the legs around. I can really recommend that breathing. It's a real nervous system, makes you feel very calm. And there's another way of doing it. If you're lying on your back, you can put something heavy on your belly, the upper part of your belly. So even something like a bag of rice, but a reasonably big one. And when you lay that on your belly here, it has this kind of beautiful sedative effect, and you're feeling the bag kind of rise and fall. It's called sandbag breathing. I tried it at the weekend. It was so good. I really recommend it. So coming down onto your backs for the last bit of the practice, very restorative bit of the practice. So we'll take some spinal twists to begin, extending left leg and hugging the right knee in. Really hugging the knee inwards towards the chest, feeling the flexibility around your hip flexor, where we've created space around the hamstring and the glutes. The hip then gets to flex a bit more and hinge. And then use left hand to guide the right knee across for a spinal twist, opening out the right arm. Soft but spacious and slow breaths in to inflate. And then lengthening your exhales. Release any gripping from the left hip and the left thigh so that the leg is just fully supported, feeling and sensing the ground. Grounding into your left hip. And then slowly bring the right knee back across, bring the left knee into the chest and extend the right leg, hugging left knee in. Turning this into a spinal twist, right hand guiding the left knee across and opening out the left arm. Releasing any gripping in the right leg, the right thigh, the right hip. And feeling that sense of grounding around the right hip joint. and coming back to center. And then we have the option of a stretch here. So if you take your strap again and have it completely undone, you know, and then you want to loop one end through and pull it through so that you make a big loop. So you want to loop through those two kind of buckles or whatever you've got and loop it under and through so it stays, and you make this big old hoop with your strap and have the buckles sort of out to the sides. We're going to do a bit of a neck stretch here, a neck traction. So if you tuck the knees into your chest and loop one end of the big strap around your feet. So I'm really kind of bringing the knees inwards here to make this work. And then I'm going to lift the head and neck off and take the strap so it sits just under, you know, the curved bit at the back of your head. So as it comes down into the neck, you'll find a sort of sweet spot where it will sit and stay. And then the feet pressing into the strap will support the head. And then you can let the arms go alongside the body, let the shoulders relax, and the palms of the hands face up. And once you're there, kind of trusting the strap and the position that you've got, and knowing that we're creating all the space in the back of the neck and the trapezium muscles that kind of come all the way down the neck and into the shoulders that get really tight. So let the strap work its magic and you just breathe. Sensing around the back of your head, back of the neck, the tops of the shoulders. Maybe you can release and let the shoulders go even more away from the ears. Let the arms be really relaxed. And then we'll slowly come out of this to come into Shavasana. So taking hold of both sides of the strap, bending the knees in towards the chest and removing the strap from around the head first. Let the head lie back down and then remove it from the feet. And maybe have a little rock from side to side as you hug the knees into your chest, and then come into Shavasana for the final part of the practice. Extending the legs all the way down the mat, or perhaps you're placing blocks underneath your knees or cushions, making your Shavasana super comfy. Really inviting you to feel the ground underneath the back body and give all the muscles in your body permission to just soften. Nothing to do. Nowhere to be, just here for now. Closing the eyes down. we come back to the intent of this practice is grounding and centering. And we're tuning into the element of earth, which is also associated with the east as a cardinal point, as a direction. And we can call on support from these different directions of the earth. So from the east, which is a place of fire. So tuning into the direction of the east, place of fire, place of the rising sun, new beginnings, birth, rebirth, light and luminosity. Visualizing the sun, stars, the moon, and place of the sun eagle, which gives us this amazing perspective from way up high. Beginning to bring some light awareness back of your body as you lie here, of the ground underneath, and the relationship you have with the ground, and what this sense of grounding has really meant for you during this practice. in awareness of your breath as the chest and the belly rises and falls, like the rising of the sun and the fall of the sun, and beginnings and endings, birth and rebirth, all the symbolism of our practice, making some little movements, be rolling the head over to one side and then the other. Beginning to bring some movements into your fingers and your toes. Of course, if you're watching this on replay, you could pause the video and continue a longer Shavasana. Obviously, if you're here live with me, you're also very welcome to take a longer Shavasana than is here. Otherwise, bringing the knees into your chest, hugging the knees in and rolling over to one side or the other, and using your hands to really support you as you come up with a relaxed head and neck. And coming to a seat to close the practice together. Bringing the palms of the hands together at your heart center. And again, in your mind's eye, getting this sense of the earth as an element and the direction of the east, the place of the rising sun, as a guiding energy. And we'll close with one cleansing breath together, taking a slow, deep breath in through the nose. Take that squeeze of the sit bones, the lift of the chest bone. And as you exhale out through the mouth, release the squeeze. And bow your head to your hands in gratitude for your practice. The sacred in me honours the sacred in each and every one of you. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me. Namaste.